Biblical man or a biblical woman has so much more to it than just being a godly husband or a godly spouse. And I want to talk about this specifically for my single young 20-something girls in the room, because I have noticed a trend that is rather concerning to me. And that is this idea that is being promoted on social media of marriage is a way to opt out of responsibilities. And I've noticed this particularly because of the promotion of princess treatment and the infantilization of women in these relationships, saying that like once you get married, your husband will provide and protect and you don't necessarily have to worry about anything. Now, while that is true that a man should be providing and protecting and putting effort forward to making the relationship romantic, that does not inherently opt women out of this idea of being industrious. In Proverbs 31, we see the woman who's described as an excellent wife, and we see her being industrious both in the realm of paid labor and unpaid labor. We see her trading, but we also see her making disciples. She's reaching her hand out to the poor. We also see her feeding her household, clothing her household, being industrious in that. And in marriage, the way that you make disciples and the way that you do your work may look differently. You may look like someone who isn't necessarily making an income, but you are still doing work for your community by volunteering, by being involved in the PTA, by making life nice for your neighbors, because you have that extra free time and because you don't have that financial burden. It does not mean that you aren't responsible for going out and making disciples, for living out the Great Commission. Because so often I have had women speak to me and just talk about these like fears that they have for life and these fears that they have being responsible for their own lives, and they feel like getting married is the easiest way to get out of these fears. But ultimately, even if you're married, you're still going to have financial uncertainty. You are still going to have career uncertainty. You still aren't going to know how things are going to play out. And unless you are dependent on the ultimate provider and protector, you are still going to have those anxieties. And the ultimate provider and protector, he wants good things for you. And so he does not want you to just opt out of the responsibilities and the difficult things in life. He still asks you to go and make disciples. The first person God put the Holy Spirit on was an artisan, because he wanted work to be done excellently. You are still called to do your work, whether it is paid or unpaid, excellently. Ultimately, I just want to say to the single woman in her early 20s watching this, marriage is not a way to opt out of the responsibilities of life. Your responsibilities will likely look different in marriage, but they are not an opt out, and you are still called to make disciples. You are still called to be industrious, and you are still called to love the people around you well, because ultimately, being a godly woman has